What is up? So, the first thing I want to talk about is people have been asking me questions about Costa Rica, and my newest plan is that my sailboat situation got put on hold because it's cold and the weather is not good and it's just not good. So, I have to go ahead and do a couple of things, and being that I don't really have a lease or anything. I visit friends and family, but for the most part, I like to kind of travel a little bit. So the first thing that I do when I look, hold on, so I want to go to Google Maps. And from the maps, we're going to go to Costa Rica. Let's go ahead and push this down a little bit. So people always ask me questions about Costa Rica and what do you want to know? And basically, it's a beautiful country. It's kind of small. And so, how do you navigate Costa Rica, right? That's what a lot of people always ask. So basically, there's two main airports. You have the San Jose Airport, which is pretty much the largest airport, and it's in the main city. It's Alajuela, and basically, it's a big city. So San Jose is the main city in Costa Rica. You also have the Liberia Airport, which is up here, and that feeds a lot of this Guanacaste area. I happen to prefer the Nicoya Peninsula and even down to Jaco. So this is probably the area that I've spent most of my time, months, if not a year or so, in this area. So the first thing that I usually do is I have no problems flying Spirit. So I go down to just to kind of see what flights look like. Let's take a look. So if I want to fly from Tampa, I would fly to SJO, which is San Jose. Now make sure you do San Jose, Costa Rica, not San Jose, California. So SJO, San Jose. Now, because of my schedule and where I may end up, which I'll tell you in a second, I'm going to look for a one-way. And it's probably going to be either, let's start on like the 11th, which is like a week from now. And you have to have a proof of return flight. They don't want you just landing in Costa Rica and not being able to leave. So you need to have a way of leaving the country. Usually it's a flight. There's options that you can do if you're not 100% sure. There's ways around it, which I share in my private groups. But basically, $100 to fly out of San Jose on the 11th. Let's see what next week looks like. So there you go. On the 18th, you can fly for $76. That's the cheapest one in the next couple of days. $76.94. Now, what you do want to pay attention to is you do have a longer flight, and it lands at 1 o'clock in the morning, which is kind of a pain in the neck. But for me, the way that I usually do it is I'll fly into San Jose and then I will catch a car, or sometimes Uber is legit, and I will take an Uber from San Jose, or from the airport, or a taxi from the airport over to the bus terminal, and then I will take the bus terminal. I think it's called like the 712 bus terminal, and I will take the bus all the way from San Jose, basically over to Jaco, really Playa Herradura. Playa Herradura is where my motorcycle is. So basically, my motorcycle is like right here. Somewhere in here, my motorcycle is. So I need to get from basically San Jose, I think it's like right in here. So I go from San Jose all the way. One of these is the giant bridge, Turquoise. So Turquoise, I don't think that's it. But one of these is the bridge that has the giant alligators. So you can book a car, you can rent a car. I don't really rent a car when I'm in other countries. A lot of people love it. I have a little motorcycle, so that works for me. So last year I had a motorcycle and I rode all the way from Jaco up to Punta Arenas, all the way over to Montezuma, Paquera, over to Manzanillo, and over to Santa Teresa, which is beautiful. It's a little overpriced right now, but Santa Teresa is stunning. And I will ride my little motorcycle all of this way. Now, I also rode down past Capos, which actually I think that's where my motorcycle first broke down. So I had to get the motorcycle from Capos back to Jaco, back to Herradura. But I also rode all the way down to Ubita and San Isidra. I did some dancing in San Isidra, cool little town up kind of up in the mountains, more like in a valley. And then I rode actually on my little red motorcycle all the way up to Nosara, beautiful, to Samara, awesome. And then I even came all the way up here, and right here I believe is the Four Seasons, so it is. So there's a Four Seasons here. It's a little expensive compared to the rest of Costa Rica. But I visited some family, I think it was in Playa Hermosa, maybe Playa del Coco. I think it was in here. So anyways, I rode all that way, and that's about 5 hours pretty much from Jaco to come up through here, all the way up on Route 1, all the way past Liberia, and then over this way. I also did an adventure where I rode from Nosara up this way, and then up to La Fortuna and Arenal, up in this way. And then I rode across, down, through Limon, and over to Puerto Viejo, and then back and across. Now this ride from here all the way across the country to here took me all day. So I saw the sunrise in Puerto Viejo, and then I saw the sunset in Jaco. And so now I'm looking to see what it would take to get me over there. So I pretty much can catch this flight. I leave at 9 from Tampa, and then I land at 1 in the morning, which kind of sucks because what do? The buses probably don't stop. I use a, let's see, Jaco bus, Costa Rica. I use Transporte de Jaco, and I basically ride this bus. Now it's in another language, so you got to kind of figure it out, but let's just say that I want to, oh my goodness, this is the 17th. Anyways, I think it's like $6 or $8 or something like that. And you can see, so this is from San Jose to Jaco on the 3rd. Basically the first bus leaves at 7, which kind of sucks. So that means that if I take a 1 o'clock flight in, figure by the time you get off the plane and get through customs, you're looking at 2 o'clock. It's probably about 30 minutes to get from the airport to the bus terminal. I think the bus terminal's like over here and the airport's like over here. So that will kind of put me at a strange situation. Now let's look and see what happens if you fly out of Fort Lauderdale, FLL, or the Miami airport area on the same flight. So it's the same basically amount of money. The difference is that from Fort Lauderdale, you actually get in at 2:30 in the afternoon, which is much easier. It's a 3-hour flight versus a 5-hour flight. And so if you can fly out of Fort Lauderdale, much easier. So transport, because I have to get to my motorcycle, is probably gonna be like, I need to check a bag. So probably like $180, no, probably $200 gets me from TPA to Jaco. Not a problem. So money, the other thing that you want to look at is it's called the Costa Rican colones to USD. And this isn't super important, especially if you're, I want to switch this the other way, or how much is $1 in Costa Rica? That's what you want. So it's about 523 Costa Rican colones for every dollar. And as this goes up, you know, your dollar is less powerful as this goes down. So I've been there when it's been about 600. It is what it is. You know, you're not getting a huge discount by visiting Costa Rica. Other countries are much more beneficial, but it's good to know that for every dollar you give, you should have about 500 colones back. So if it's 2,500 colones for something, 25 divided by 5 is going to be about $5. So 2,500 colones is $5, roughly. Yeah, and you can see it here. Right, so it's 2,600 colones for every $5, and honestly, I just divide things by 2. At the very most, if it's like 600 versus 500, you're talking about 100 colones. So you've got a little bit of giveaway. Now, you can pay in dollars in Costa Rica. In Colombia, you really can't, but in Costa Rica, you can pretty much pay in dollars. You just have to watch out how they're exchanging it, because you don't really know what rate they're using. That's kind of the way it is. I pretty much use a credit card or a debit card my whole time. I don't like having a whole ton of cash on me. But that's that. So money is at $5.25 per dollar. Now I want to go to the weather, because the weather is actually really important. So you want to look at the weather in January, and most of Costa Rica is in the early part of the dry season due to the month of January, with high temperatures and little rain on the Pacific side. Temperatures at the coastal beaches and lowlands surrounding area average in the mid 80s to low 90s with plenty of sunshine. The Northwest Pacific is very dry in January. So December, January, February are what's considered dry season. It's busy. Things are definitely going to be expensive. A lot of people want to visit Costa Rica when it's dry. It's the high tourist season, and it's hot, it's dusty, especially in the northern part of Costa Rica and in the unpaved part. But it's awesome. I love it. For me, I ride a motorcycle. I visit friends and stay with different people. Sometimes I stay with them. Sometimes I just bring my hammock and I do hammock enjoyment wherever that ends up. And so to me, the dry is much better. One, because being on a motorcycle when it's rainy and wet, it still can be kind of cold. But being wet and muddy is just not fun. And same thing with the kind of how I bounce around and stay at different places. It's just dry is better. The water is clearer. There's all sorts of reasons why people love to go to the dry season. It is more expensive. It can be, 20 or 30% more, if not more, in little towns like Santa Teresa over here, which is like a hot spot right now. It's going to be very busy and it's going to be very expensive. And, talk to me if you want to go visit Santa Teresa. Same thing with probably Nosara. Pretty much everything on the Pacific coast, because it's Pacific coast, is dry season. So rainy season is usually flipped. So on this other coast, which most people really only go to Limon, not really as much as they go to Puerto Viejo. So that's that. For lodging, I don't love it, but I always kind of find out if there is a Selena hostel where I want to go, and see if there's a map. Now Selena is a super cool spot because they have co-working spaces and a lot of visitors, right? It's a very user-friendly experience. It's a safe space. You know what you're getting yourself into. Usually there's a restaurant and a bar and a pool and people traveling. Now they're a nicer hostel because a lot of them have, if not all of them, I think have single rooms for that more digital nomad, a little more sophisticated than hostelers, which I love hostelers, but sometimes you want to be a little more, you know. And so I always check out Selena just to know you can book different adventure packages. A lot of times there's shuttles that will go in between the different Selenas. So if you need to get from Tamarindo to Nosara or from Tamarindo to Nosara down to Santa Teresa to Jaco, I mean, it literally, all of these locations are like the main locations that people visit when they first start visiting Costa Rica, right? You've got Tamarindo, Nosara. Over here you have Santa Teresa, Jaco, Quepos. Now, so that's pretty much what I do. As far as safety is concerned, like I said, I rode around this whole country by myself on a motorcycle, and I never felt sketchy. I did kind of feel sketchy a little bit coming through the San Jose, and that's meant to be. It's a big city. There's a lot going on. You're very vulnerable, and so I stay out of San Jose as much as possible. I fly in and either I get a hostel for the night and then move on my way, but I really don't spend a lot of time in San Jose. I did spend time living in Santa Ana for a little bit, but I don't. I love the beaches better. One of the other things that is part of my plan this time, which is supposed to be a couple. Why is this not opening? There you go. Oh boy. One of the other things that I want to do is, being that I want to explore a little bit and see, so most people don't know this, but Florida is actually above, for the most part, Costa Rica. Most people think Costa Rica is like way over here. It's not. You basically fly straight down. I can't remember if we fly over Cuba. I don't think we get to fly over Cuba. I think we have to fly this way. But for my future goals, I would love to spend a little bit of time in Bocas del Toro. It's in Panama. And I found out that I can take my motorcycle all the way across from here. I can go over to either up through the volcano region or through San Jose. I think this path is really cold, and you don't really bring a lot of warm weather in Costa Rica. You don't need it. Maybe if you're in San Jose, it gets a little chilly at night, but it's like a jacket and jeans. It's not like freezing. So I would come over, go to Puerto Viejo. I have a friend there, and she has a little spot, and this is a cool place to be. It's still like, I don't want to say undiscovered, but it's still like undiscovered compared to the west coast of Costa Rica. So I believe I can take a road and I can come into Panama, because now I'm in Panama, and I can get an insurance package for very cheap, and I can take my motorcycle, take a ferry, and get to visit Bocas del Toro on a I don't know how to do all this, but yeah. So I want to go check it out for the sailboat. It's all on the water, and a lot of places are like very sailboat friendly. I don't know what the exchange rate is. Now you also have your passport issue. One is you get 90 days without having to do anything. So I pretty much just plan on being there less than 90 days. And so 90 days in both of those countries is really easy with a US passport. English. Most people in Costa Rica, especially on the beaches, they speak English. At least they know basic words and you're able to get by. I don't speak fluent Spanish at all. I get by on good energy and salsa dancing. But all up in here is a lot more English friendly. Down here is still a little more rural Costa Rica, and in the city you really need to be speaking Espanol. So that is my kind of overview. So my goal would be to potentially book a flight. You saw the prices. I don't really know. Let me see. I guess we can go to bookings.com. And you can always go to Airbnb. Let's see. Let's go to Costa Rica. Let's just see. So let's just say that I'm flexible and I want to go for a month. Now this is going to be expensive just because it's bookings.com, and when you get there you can find stuff much cheaper. $500 for the month if you're willing to share a hostel. You know, I probably wouldn't do it this way. Oh my goodness. No, I definitely wouldn't do it this way. Yeah, so it's expensive this time of year. When you get there, it's much cheaper. You can find things. I do a lot on Facebook groups. I would go to my facebook.com and I would probably, aside from the fact that I'm visiting people most of the time, but I would go to Costa Rica. No, sorry. A lot of times you can find beautiful. So I go on Facebook groups and then I just start searching. Kelly Scott. This is my friend. She's now there. And I feel like I helped inspire her a little bit to go ahead and check it out. And there she is running down the beach. Yeah, so me, I pretty much fly in and I have friends that I need to go visit that I want to see and stay with. And I could end up staying there for a month or two in Jaco and then visit my friends in Santa Teresa, head up to Nosara and Puerto Viejo and Bocas del Toro. I also have, I want to set up an appointment and visit a retreat center kind of on the west coast over here somewhere that does full-blown retreats and all of that. What are your questions? What do you want to know? Rental cars, kind of a pain in the neck sometimes. You have to deal with insurance that they don't tell you about. So they'll let you book it for really cheap, and then you'll find out when you get there that you have to have this like $35 a day or $50 a day insurance, and you have to have all sorts of paperwork to get around it, and most people just don't have the paperwork at the time, and you're in the airport and there's a lot going on and you just landed, so don't do it. Pay attention to that. Actually, my friend Chris and a couple other people have found other ways of doing it. So if that interests you, or if you have questions, or if you're going to be in Costa Rica in January, February, March, I think is what it's going to take me, what I want to do, and visit Bocas. And yeah, if you're going to be around, let me know. Let's see if I can post this. Ciao.